sitting here getting ready to do some painting and kvetching, little some, little of the other. Maybe talk to some people if they show up. The other night, I did manage how to actually stream Dune with sound. That was nice. Apparently, there's a button you have to push that says streamer mode because something in the game is like copyrightable or something. So you have to turn on streamer mode so that it doesn't, get all your videos struck because you're having a great day today with Dune. I found a spaceship and landed and cut it open and got all the stuff out of it, which was awesome because there was a lot of really good stuff. And then I found spice and I landed and harvested all the spice, and that was awesome, except while I was grabbing the last bit of the spice, a worm snuck up on me and ate my helicopter and me. So basically everything I did is gone. And my character reappeared at a sentinel post in his underwear. And I had to run all the way across freaking the Haga Basin to get back to my house so that I can actually make new equipment. So, yay, fun for me, yay. What y'all do after I do this stream? Man, I mean, so people are losing their minds. So what's new with that? Apparently, and I always say apparently when I mean 100%. South Park made a show making fun of characters on the right, Charlie Kirk, etc. And for some reason, the people who got super pissed off about it are all the leftists. Because the people on the right are like, haha, whatever, that's funny. Charlie Kirk, I guess, said that, he thought Cartman did a good job. And then I guess J.D. Vance was like, I finally made it, So the lefties are like, oh man, they're just trying to cope. They don't understand how much, that they're hated. And, it's weird because it's like, I don't know. Because, how could I? I don't know these guys, right? But Matt Stone and Trey Parker, I have a hard time believing that those dudes actually hate anybody. You know what I mean? They seem like the kind of guys that just kind of want to, party and hang out and whatever, right? So I think the idea that Matt Stone and Trey Parker might actually hate any of the people that they make fun of might be a little bit off base, because I just don't think that they're haters like that, I'm not saying they are, MAGA Trump supporter type guys, but I mean, why would either of them hate Charlie Kirk? What's up, Ultra RPGer? I mean, so the left is super mad because the right's not being mad about South Park. But that is my take. Trey Parker, Matt Stone, they're not haters. They're not the kind of people that are going to be, out in the streets, rampaging around and being whatever. And the thing is, I mean, they make fun of everybody. Like literally, they make fun of everybody. And here's what's funny too. Something that people on the left didn't pick up on because maybe they're stupid. But when they were showing Cartman being Charlie Kirk and arguing with college kids, the college kids were the ones that were looking like idiots. They were the ones that were up there trying to argue their stupid positions and getting, smoked by Cartman. So, and yes, we all know Cartman's the bad guy and all this and that. But so, I mean, it's like, what are you guys actually saying? And they're like, look at Charlie Kirk. Since he didn't get really mad, he's just trying to cope and pretend like he's not mad. It's like, sounds like projection to me, man. I mean, Charlie Kirk took the Cartman version of him and made it his ex profile picture. So, and people are like, he's just coping. It's like, how do you know he's coping? Charlie Kirk is just about old enough to have been a South Park fan. Like, South Park, granted, it's hard to believe that South Park came out when I was in my 20s. It's like, gosh. I mean, that show has been around forever, right? And it was definitely like, it was like a Gen X show made by Gen X guys. And for the most part, dealing with Gen X bullshit, right? So, I mean, people who are on the left, it's like South Park is not like specifically for you, regardless of what Matt Stone and Trey Parker's particular politics might be. I mean, they make fun of Pelosi, they make fun of Beto O'Rourke. I mean, they literally have made fun of every semi-popular Democrat in the last 10 years. But Democrats are mad because Charlie Kirk didn't get mad that South Park. I mean, there was a time, and I'm going to quote a very influential guy here. If I can remember his name all of a sudden, I had his name in it. Kurt Cobain. There was a time when Kurt Cobain himself said, when Weird Al asked to do a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, that was kind of how they knew they made it. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're a musician, you're not really famous until Weird Al tries to do one of your songs. Now, for whatever reason, Prince never would allow him, no matter how much he wanted to. But that's not the point. The point is, so if you made it when Weird Al makes fun of you as a musician, then you've made it as, a public figure when South Park starts dogging you out. You know what I mean? It really is kind of, I would say, a badge of honor, really. Regardless of whether you're on the left or the right, just the fact that they took the time to make fun of you and mock you and ridicule you is kind of hilarious, man. I know Kanye got super pissed when they did his video and he was talking about being a gay fish and all that. But, it is what it is. And here's, I think, the other thing, too, that all of the lefties on TikTok need to understand. For the few of you out there watching, hello, all of you. I am painting the bases of the Sardaukar and then dipping them in ultra fine white sand, like the kind you might find at anywhere in Florida, really. The ultra fine white sand. The paint will hold that sand, and yet the sand will take on the color of the paint, so give it the texture like they're standing on sand. Neat, huh? When you're talking about figures specifically being done for Dune. But I think the problem with a lot of lefties, especially new millennial lefties, is they don't understand that people on the right, um, a lot of times they don't get mad about shit. Like when you make fun of people, like when people talk shit about me online, I don't get mad. I laugh about it, or I say, "Ah, that guy's an asshole," whatever, and then I move on with my day. I mean, it's just not. It's just simply not a big deal um, to people like me, and I would say other right-leaning people. It's just like, oh, okay. Someone talks some shit, huh? What do you know? But younger people, they get really offended about stuff, like super offended. And it's like, I mean, I'm often talking to younger people I know or my kids, and they'll be super mad about something. And I'll just be like, but what are you really mad about? I mean, is this really a big idea, a big deal? I mean, at the end of the day, right? You're going to go home and you're going to do whatever you do in your house. You're going to play Xbox or whatever the hell it is you're going to do. Play with your kids, hang out with your spouse. So none of this actually matters. And that's kind of how I face my whole life, really. I'm like people can talk all the shit they want about me online. I simply just do not care, you know, just don't, never will. It's like, why would I? And, and that's why I don't understand when people get all like away and like they want to get like, oh, you said something mean about me, I'm gonna, beat you up and stuff. And it's like, really? I mean, you're online. And the thing with online creators in every space, not just like the D&D space or the gaming space, let's say, in every space there's drama, you know, whether it's, Condor being Condor or me making fun of a Garrity video just cause or whatever it is, there's always drama. Creators always talk about each other. If you can even call me a creator, because what am I creating other than a video of me sitting here talking and a small group of people, probably my age, all of you, listening while you do more important stuff, like I don't know what you guys are up to, but I'm sure it's probably more important than, listening to some old grognard Gen Xer talk some shit. But I guess since we've got into that, also, guys, if you haven't gone online and X and looked at all of the Sydney Sweeney memes, yeah, 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 they're pretty amazing. There's even a song. And Babylon Bee did a thing. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I posted a picture of a Sydney Sweeney poster you can buy for the low price of like $100 on Discord under cats. Yes, the chick in the white lingerie laid out on the couch looking all like, come hither, is Sydney Sweeney. I didn't even recognize her, and apparently she did like some kind of donuts or Baskin Robbins commercial where she's like being kind of creepy, just showing up in the middle of the night, eating ice cream right out of the buckets and stuff. But they let her do it because, it's Sydney Sweeney. So, and you know the rule, right? The hotter the woman, the more rope a man's willing to give her. And by rope, that means leeway, like if you're dating a girl and she's super hot, you'll let her get away with a lot more than you will a girl who's maybe a little less attractive. That's just I guess the built-in simp gene that guys have. When you're with a hot chick, you'll let her get away with shit that you would never let a less attractive girl get away with. I wonder if all men are just born to be simps, if that's like our God given place on earth. Now, I will say this: when I see the Sydney Sweeney thing, I'm not filled with lust. I'm not filled with any desire to run into like in her room and start cranking it off like a freaking bonobo or anything like that. But I can admire the fact that, yes, she's very beautiful. And I can admire the play on words. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. She does, obviously. I mean, she's a hot, blue eyed chick with giant tits, and she's got a great body. And, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much damn near perfect. She's pretty much an apex predator. And, if you're like a 300-pound purple haired woman and you're mad at Sydney Sweeney, hey, sorry about your luck, but don't blame her. It ain't her fault. We're all born the way we are. Look, I'm born looking like, actually, I shouldn't talk smack because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was very attractive, but that's besides the point. Or at least based on the reaction I got around the women I was hanging out with. I thought I was very attractive. I got a lot of female attention in my 20s and 30s, but then I got old. Not that I'm looking for female attention because got my wife, and that's, believe me, more attention than I can deal with most days. So I don't need any more attention. I'm good. But so yeah, the Sydney Sweeney thing ultimately, I'm going to say that it's just stupid that anyone would be mad. And she does have great genes. And I had no idea there was a company called American Eagle Jeans before this commercial, and everybody bitching about it. So who knows? Do they sell male jeans? Maybe I'll buy a pair, just to be like, bite my thumb at thee, you crazy leftists who seem to hate anything that's beautiful for some reason. I think that's kind of the thing with leftists. It's like, and I know I'm painting with a big brush, but it's like at some point, the modern day left decided that ugly was beautiful. And therefore, everything on TV, art, everything had to be ugly. And I think what happened with the Sydney Sweeney commercial is really, it's not like it's a new thing. It's more like it's a throwback to the 80s, right? Because in the 80s, we had supermodels selling us everything. And I know I'm repeating myself, guys. I apologize. I know I'm repeating myself. But yeah, in the 80s, almost every product you can imagine was being sold to you by either a supermodel or, a sports ball hero, whether it was Jordan or Sydney Crawford or Kathy Ireland or whomever it was. I mean, that's just the way it was, right? And I don't think any of us grew up with self-esteem issues because Sidney Crawford was drinking a Coca-Cola or whatever she was drinking. I mean, you know, I really don't. Um, but these people today, see, here's what I would like to do. I'm going to go off topic a little bit. If I had my way, I would enforce true equality on television, right? So the people who are constantly demanding diversity, inclusion, whatever, right? I would say, okay, true diversity on television. And what would that mean? That would mean that only one out of every 16 faces you see on TV would be black. And then you would have maybe, I don't know, one out of every 10 be Hispanic. And damn, it'd probably be like one out of every 50 or 100 would be Asian, right? And then every single other face you would see on TV at all would be white. And then you'd have to watch TV all day to see a gay person because, you know, I mean, if they wanted actual fairness based on demographics, yeah, you'd barely see any of these people. They are all so highly over represented on television, right? And then when you think about how much money these people on television make, it really is a weird form of anti-white racism because you're taking people from these tiny little minorities and you're giving them these jobs where they can make millions of dollars and have the power to talk about how white people are all racist pretty much all the time. And it's just like, you know, uh, is this equity? I don't know, because if it's supposed to be equality, then you have to go by demographic percentages, right? Which means at least 60% of the people you see on TV would be straight white people. And every single company you see on TV would not be an interracial couple, typically with a black guy and Asian or white woman. You just would never see that as much because it just is not that common. So showing it off all the time is kind of unrealistic, is what it is. It would be a very rare thing, actually, to put on TV. I mean, there's a few of you watching. If you guys have opinions, share them. The worst will happen, I promise, is I'll call you a retard or something. I'll tell you you're stupid. If you're from Twitch, I'll make fun of you for being on Twitch. So yeah, by all means, share your opinions. But yeah, it's like we've reached that point where we're not talking about equality. We're talking about, special treatment, like, hey, we make up less than 0.1% of the population, but we have to be represented in every TV show. And a lot of women are fat. Therefore, the people you show on TV have to be fat too. It's like, what if we showed nothing but hot, beautiful people on TV? Would it inspire the people who are fat, myself included? I'm not even acting like I'm not overweight. I know I am. But if everyone on TV were like hot again, would it be more of an inspiration for someone like me to eat a little bit less, maybe walk a little bit more? I mean, you know, so that I could be a little bit more, like them. I don't know. I mean, that again, that's one of those weird things where it's like, would it or wouldn't it? I honestly I can't answer the question because that seems like some psychology stuff. I ain't got any degree in psychology, so I don't know, right? But it does seem like the people demanding inclusion and fat acceptance, they're just lazy, you know? And they're not fat because they're lazy. They demand fat acceptance because they're lazy. Because rather than admit they're fat and dealing with it or try not to be fat, they want to force you to sign off on the fact that they're fat. And it's like, no, I am not going to sign off on this and tell you this is a good thing. And the reason is because I'm not a horrible human being. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, oh, yeah, what you're doing is great when we all know what you're doing is going to kill you. Like, for real. For real, for real. You're going to end up dying, right? It's like, I could bring up those videos where it shows all the fat influencers that were like trying to get people to, accept fatness. It's like they're all dead, you know? Most of them by 40 from heart attacks and shit like that, right? It's like that is the worst thing, man. When somebody is caught in like a really bad situation, and rather than have people say, look, you need to straighten the hell up and stop doing this incredibly destructive thing that is going to kill you. Instead, everyone stands around and tells you what you're doing is okay. Um, I think it makes all the people who tried to tell the person that what they're doing is okay culpable of that person's death, right? That would be like if you were hanging out on a corner with a bunch of zombified fentanyl addicts and like you were telling them that it's okay, doing fentanyl is okay. Like no one has a right to tell you. Like not only that, but you were telling them that doing fentanyl, uh, actually you can live a healthy lifestyle while you're doing fentanyl. You know, just because you're on fentanyl doesn't mean you're not beautiful. Maybe we need to get Sports Illustrated to put a bunch of fentanyl addicts or heroin addicts on the cover of Swimsuit Illustrated because so we can show our solidarity with the people who have chosen to be drug addicts, right? And if somebody says, well, that's a false equivalency, it's not though, because food is basically, while you need food, it can be an addiction like anything else. And believe me, I know I've been through it. Still struggle with it, but I went through a long time there, which is when I got really fat, where I would wake up at like 3 in the morning and just go into the kitchen and just eat everything. So yeah, I know it's not easy. It sucks. It's hard, right? But the point is that, when somebody has what is clearly an illness, whether it's sexual dysphoria or whatever, and your response is to tell them that what they're doing is good, you're not helping them. You're harming them. And you're harming them. You think because you're making them feel better, you're not harming them, but you're actually harming them, you know? Anytime you tell anyone that something that is very harmful to them is okay and they should it's all right, do what you want, yeah, you're doing a bad thing, you know. Ugh, damn, you guys are quiet. You guys are always quiet. Like, I'll have 30 people in the chat and no one chatting. It's like, the hell is going on here? It's like, you guys just never have anything to say. I mean, come on now. So, working on my Juggernaut, I need to highlight the red to make it more red and highlight the yellow to make it more yellow. There's a lot of detail there, but you know, overall, it's getting there. Juggernaut. I bought the Marvel. Well, I didn't buy, did I? No. I downloaded the PDF of the new Marvel 616 role playing game, and it's kind of weird because it's got like it's got a ton of actual like characters from the comics in the book, and so me and my brother, you know, we were spending all this time just going through and comparing characters to see who we thought would be stronger than the other character. And like, I was kind of surprised, and I don't know if I should have been or not, but I was a little surprised to find out that Blade is stronger than Deadpool. According to Marvel Comics, Blade, all things considered, should be able to whip Deadpool's ass in a straight up fight. Not only that, but you know, Deadpool has his healing ability. Blade's healing ability is actually better than Deadpool's. His healing factor, Blade's is better. The only one who's got a better healing factor than Blade is Logan. So one of the reasons I talk about that is because, I mean, of course, I've got the man, the myth, the legend, Blade right here. But I'm like, wow, you know. Plus, the game gives you like all kinds of rules for, you can either just pick a character or you can make a character. And how you make a character is you determine what level range you're going to play, which is from 1 to whatever. And then the level range you're going to play equates to the number of superpowers your character can have, right? So a level 2 character has like 2 notable superpowers, which some superpowers come in groups. So like if you take martial arts, it's not just martial arts, you have some actual specific abilities. Like Spider-Man has web climbing or whatever, and there's like 15 powers under, you know, the web thing. You know, there's like web this and web that and web sling and web burst and web, you know, everything's getting webbed, right? So now the only thing that bothers me about the game is no DC characters, right? Because I would love to be able to compare some of the DC characters to some, like Lobo. What superpowers does Lobo have? I mean, obviously he's going to have super strength, so mighty. But at what level? 1 through what? You know, he's also going to have healing factor because he heals super fast, and you can't kill him. I mean, even if you kill him, he will eventually come back. That's just the Lobo thing. What else? That's only 2 powers though. Healing factor and mighty 1. That's 2 powers. Probably give him a bunch of skills with firearms and melee. Because I mean that's a Lobo thing. That guy, he's a big fan of whipping ass and taking names. So yeah, you're going to give Lobo, and so Lobo would probably, I think, end up being like a 4th ranked character, which would put him right next to Deadpool and some of those other guys. As a matter of fact, it play style wise, I don't know that Lobo would really be much different than like a Deadpool or a Blade, other than motivation. But I mean, power wise, you've basically just got a big, strong guy that's really good at fighting and likes calling everyone curse words and is really, really hard to kill. That is the atypical Lobo. Also, I just got delivery, so I need to go look at it. I'll be right back. I will be right back. Until then, enjoy looking at that. I should be back in like 1 minute. All right, I'm gonna sit down here, put these boxes down. All right, so we might be having a little bit of a box opening. Anybody interested in a little bit of a box opening? See what we got. I think I know what this is, just based on the thickness of it. Yep, 1 bookshelf. That means drive through. Because, every now and again, I got to get something on drive through. So, what did we get? We got The Last Vikings, which is a Mad Musing. I think Pundit may have worked on it. And we got Ashes Without Number. So, let's actually see what they look like, though. Okay. Now, first off, Kevin Crawford, he does all the Without Number books. So this is his book. I got the hardcover. And this is post-apocalyptic. But it doesn't tell you. See, he had done another game called After Dust or something like that. Now this one's got like mutations, all kinds of stuff. It's got the different things you can be, like a scavenger, a savage, a slave, a trader, a wanderer, and that gives you your skills and all that. And then, true to every Kevin Crawford game, it gives you like 100 reasons, like, okay, why did the world end? So, well, he's going to give you 20 reasons and you get to pick the one you like. How does stuff work? He's going to give you tons of reasons. You get to pick what you like. So this is equipment, a linked wallet, a light pen, plant pal. Apparently a plant pal is just a little flower pot sized hydroponic bowl that's perfect for growing any plant. Hey, who knows? You might find that inside of a. Then we've got all of the rules for your enclaves because the players all come from an enclave, which is truly a light in the darkness, right? Because when you start out, you don't know if there are any other enclaves. You're it, right? And then, of course, he gives you all of the, like in every one of his books, he gives you tons of different like adventure hooks. And creating your campaign, things to think about. Spelled think wrong. He should have had that edited. They put an H instead of a K there. That or my site's messed up. What's the scope? Structures of the campaign genres. After the fall, which is, he says, the more realistic thing, like something bad happened, like Yellowstone blew up or whatever, and civilization just fell apart. Mutant wasteland. So post-nuclear apocalypse full of mutants and burnout cities. Marauding raiders and radioactive badlands. And then Deadlands, the classic zombie apocalypse campaign. Covered under the Deadlands genre style. Whether mindless undead that crave flesh, fungus-riddled and violent human host, pathogen-crazed infected, or alien drones dispatched to genocide humanity. The PCs are facing an endless tide of remorselessly brutal foes. Okay. I mean, the thing is I've kind of got to deal with myself. And it is what it is, right? And that deal is that every time. Oh, see, he's got some like typical towns here. That's cool. I don't recognize the names. Pueblo Nuevo, Talleres, Picton, Blackwater, Rancho Verde, St. Louis. And then there's weapons, Bowie knife, brush gun, musket, peacemaker, powder rifle, repeating rifle, shotgun, 6-gun. How to start a death zone campaign. Things people want. I mean, he's always got tons of lists. Evil techno wizards. In case you want to play Thundar the Barbarian. So you can have evil techno wizards that, they're not really wizards, but okay. And then different types of armor, power plants. I don't think I'm on this one because I don't know if I kickstarted this one. I was on Stars Without Number, though. So this is the first book I got, Ashes Without Number. I've already got the PDF. I've already read it, and I really liked it. It kind of is lacking in its own way the charm of Gamma World Second Edition, because there's just something charming about Gamma World Second Edition. Just kind of a simple naivety to the thing. But if you wanted to play a post-apocalyptic game, no one, when it comes to game design, in my mind, Kevin Crawford is at the, he is definitely top three and maybe even number one for like game design. And then, of course, we've got the RPG Pundits and Mad Scribe Games series, The Last Vikings. Not exactly what I wanted because I keep bitching at him about the Kievan Rus, except you can play the Kievan Rus. So he kind of gave me what I wanted. He just didn't give it to me exactly the way I wanted it. And hey, I'll take it. So in this one, it's a historical fantasy source book designed to go along with Baptism of Fire, though fully compatible with Lion and Dragon, blah, blah, blah. Set in the late 10th century, and it explores the legendary Viking bastions of Jomsburg, which was the final redoubt of the pagan Norse warriors on the Pomeranian coast of Poland. It covers the old gods, the fortified island of Volin, so you can play Jomsviking to defend your pagan traditions, or you can play any of Norse mercenaries, traders, outlaws, etc. And it says whether players take on the role of staunch pagan warriors, exiled raiders seeking refuge, or conflicted Norse converts navigating a fractured religious world, The Last Vikings offer deep narrative potential, complete with political intrigue, religious conflict, and brutal skirmishes. A rich addition to any medieval campaign, offering a unique lens on a little known but powerful mythic stronghold of the Viking Age. Yeah, Jomsvikings. I'm pretty sure the Jomsvikings, though, they didn't come from an island. They came from the coast of the Baltic Ocean, like in Latvia or Lithuania or whatever. So looking on the inside, it looks like we've got the art is good, even though it's probably AI or, just free art, but it's good. And you've got first your social class from Thrall on up, names, and classes. And the classes, okay, these are about the same as in Baptism of Fire, Archer, Fighter, Thief, Woodsman. Berserker, that's a new one. Um, Vitki, which is pagan priests. And, you got their rune magic and runic charms and stuff like that. Cirrus or Volva. So in the movie The Northman, when they raid the Slavic town and start taking everybody's slaves, and then he goes into the thing and that woman is there with the antlers and she tells him about what he has to do and shit, she would be a Volva. All right. So then it talks about Galder magic, economy, and equipment. That's important. They use the same coinage as they do in Poland. Denarii is the basic coin, since there's still tons of those things laying around after the fall of Rome. And then, of course, we've got our different weapons. we've got a couple of Vikings hauling a naked blonde chick out into the, either looks like they're taking her to a boat. So she's getting ready to be enslaved, I guess. And then we've got Norse priests and different Norse gods: Balder, Forseti, Bragi, Freya, Frey, Frigg, Heimdall, Hel, Loki, Mimir, Njordr, the Norns, and then, of course, Odin. Sif, Thor, not the superhero, but the actual one. Tyr. Tyr was always my favorite Norse god when I used to read like Bullfinch's mythology. Olir, the freaking skier, Vidar, and then it goes into their worship and everything. Ship statistics, sea voyages. So you could make a Viking from this and then play him as a Kievan Rus that lives in, Russia. That would be no problem at all. And then it talks about different places you could go. So we've got a write-up on Pomerania, Scotland, Sweden. 1016, King Canute, after conquering England, sends 2 sons of Edmund Ironside to Olaf's court in Sweden, requesting that he have them killed as rivals to his throne. However, Olaf refuses to do so, and instead, for their safety, sends them to the court of Boleslaw the Brave. They would later travel to Kiev and then to Hungary. Who knows? A lot of stuff went on. Viking monsters. Not anywhere near as cool as Slavic monsters, but hey, Draugr, the Norse White. They even wrote Draugr and then in parentheses Norse White. A lot of people think Draugr are more like zombies, but they're not, because they still have a conscience. Dwarves, or the Dvergr. Yep. Elves. Fishmen, those are in Baptism Fire. Giants, yeah, of course. You're always going to have to deal with your giants. Hogway, basically an extra powerful Draugr. Huldra, the Lindworm, mermaids, of course. Sea serpents, shades, giant squids. Trolls, because of course trolls, and Valkyrie. I mean, the art in this is actually really good. And whales, because, Vikings hunted whales, so... Dire wolves, and it shows a bunch of wolves eating a guy. Wow. Okay. And then different missions to help if you're having a hard time coming up with like an adventure hook, that he's got a bunch of I tell you what though, I like the character sheet, even though it's really all the same information as on the Baptism of Fire character sheet. There's a few changes on this one, just the artwork wise, and it's pretty cool. Virtues and vices, I like that. That's a way better way of handling things, I think. I mean, you've got your alignment up here, but then by listing ranking your virtues and your vices, it really adds depth to a character, Like if a character's, number one virtue is, honor. So, he's going to be honorable, but at the same time, he's lustful or something, it's like that kind of push and pull between these things, I think is really cool. But, anywho, I think I'm going to end the chat. I think I've said enough. I need to paint these visors on these Sardaukar with las cannons, and then I'm done with that. And I will talk to you guys at some later date, maybe.